welcome to a brand new episode of a brand new season of Weekend Out. My name is Gaurav. Naam to suna hoga. Now, in the last episode of our last season, I promised you that this new season is going to be bigger and better. And like they say, pran jaye, par vachan na jaye. This season is bigger and better. And to start with, take a look. Where am I? I'm not in Dubai, I'm in Tbilisi, which is the capital of Georgia. And this is our international episode of Weekend Out Season 4. In the next 2 episodes, we're going to explore this beautiful and untouched country. With sublimely perched old churches, watchtowers and castles dotting its fantastic mountain scenery, Georgia has to be one of the beautiful countries on this planet Earth. From the outrageously beautiful town of Kazbegi in the Caucasus Mountains to the capital city of Tbilisi, Georgia abounds in natural variety. Georgia's deeply complicated history has given it a fascinating cocktail of influences from Turkey, Russia, Persia, Central Asia and beyond. With a wonderful heritage of architecture and art. The country brims with history and it is reflected in its architecture, which is a mix of medieval, classical and even Soviet structures. Now, before I start my long journey to discover this beautiful city, I thought of fueling myself for the day. And my love for food is no secret. So, my guide Katie and Mariam from Fly Dubai took me to a restaurant called Maspinzello in the middle of the city for some authentic Georgian food. And this is where I was introduced to the famous king khali, the Georgian version of dumplings. Now, there's a particular way of eating king khali. You take a bite first, make a hole in the king khali, drink up the juice or soup that's inside, and then you start eating the rest of the king khali. Now this is definitely a very different way of eating dumplings or what they call king khali. After eating some delicious king khalis to my heart's content, my guide and I started our city tour. Okay, so where are we, Katie?
Now we are in the historical part of Tbilisi, actually the exact place from where the history of Tbilisi starts. The legend said that in the 5th century, our king Vakhtang Gorgasali, who was living in ancient Georgian town Tsketa, which was the capital of Georgia by that time, he came to this place for hunting. Here it was a forest, and he was hunting on this bird, pheasant. So this statue is not here by accident, but he's the main hero of our legend.
So Katie gave me a good insight into the rich history of Tbilisi and the city's famed sulfur baths, or baths as they call it. The old town is still redolent of ancient Eurasian roads with narrow winding alleys, handsome religious buildings and old carved wooden balconied houses and travelers' inns, which are also known as caravanserais. Katie also showed me the Orthodox Church, which was destroyed during the Soviet times but was restored later under the project New Life to Old Tbilisi. This was a landmark picture point for newly married couples. Okay, so this definitely is a picture point for couples. They come here after marriage. I've seen one couple there, and I see one couple right there. I think I am also going to get married here, for sure. Alright, so this is Madani Square. This is supposed to be one of the most important squares in Tbilisi, especially if you're a tourist. You can come here by car, get down and then explore this entire city on foot. I had the pleasure of strolling along the narrow cobbled streets of the old city with its old-styled balconies, ancient churches, charming shisha shops, fancy restaurants and carpet shops even. Especially the Jean Chardin street, which had even grapes hanging from creepers in the midst of the streets, making the ambience even warmer.
So this is tamada, the Georgian toastmaster. Now the real tamada from the 7th century is actually in the museum. Now this one is a larger size and it's been placed here specially for tourists. And what tourists do when they come here is rub it this way, and this is for good luck. So here's good luck to you and me. I'm rubbing it for you.
We then headed towards the Bridge of Peace, another popular picture point for newlyweds after the old Tbilisi. By this time, I was convinced of one thing, that the most important thing in a Georgian wedding is definitely its pictures. The Bridge of Peace was built in the year 2008 after the last war with Russia. It is a bow-shaped pedestrian bridge which stretches 150 meters over the Kura River. The bridge provides a unique view of the Metheki Church, Narikala Fortress and the statue of the city's founder Vakhtang Gorgaseli on one side and Bartashavili Bridge and the presidential office on the other side.
Okay, so this is a very interesting point. I am going by cable car to the Narigala Fortress. Now, this used to be a wall around the city. With time, it became the king's residence, and today it's become a very, very popular tourist spot. They say you get the best view of the city, Tbilisi, from this place. You and I are going to witness that.
The Narikala Fortress overlooks Tbilisi and the Kura River. The fortress consists of two walled sections on a steep hill between the sulphur baths and the botanical gardens of Tbilisi. We then moved towards the statue of King Vakhtang and the Metheki Church.
What you see behind me is the oldest part of the Tbilisi city. You see those beautiful houses and their huge balconies. Also far behind, you see the Mother of Georgiana. Now, this is a true representation of the women of Georgia. She stands with a bowl of wine and a sword in one hand, which means if you're a friend to Georgia, you will be greeted with a bowl of wine. And if you're an enemy, she will use her sword to protect herself.
According to traditional accounts, King Vakhtang Gorgaseli erected a church and a fort which also served as the king's residence. Hence comes the name Metheki, which literally means the area around the palace.
The sun is down, the lights are on, and this is party time in Georgia. I've come to a place that you have to visit when you're in Tbilisi. This is the place that's called Shadow of Metheki. Now, this is known for its picturesque location, its fantastic food, and its national Georgian performances. I'm going in to enjoy all this because the party officially begins now.
The restaurant will draw your attention with its unique interior design, beautiful views of the city, Georgian folk music, and not to forget, the delicious, authentic Georgian food. The restaurant's concept and decor is designed based on the scenography of the play In the Shadow of Metheki. If you're thirsty for a real Georgian feast with fiery Georgian dance and song performances, this is the place to visit.